Just see the yawn exterminators at Just Beds on Montvale Drive in Springfield.
Just Beds.
Taylorville Care Center, Taylorville's premier nursing facility, is hiring, and they're offering the best opportunities in town with new wages, elite pay, and premium pay programs for RNs, LPNs, and CNAs. Nurses may be eligible for major medical insurance if qualified as a level 2 nurse. Their exclusive work perks has something for all employees. Quarterly retention bonuses and weekly vaccination incentives are also offered. Apply to learn more. Join the Taylorville Care Center family by finding their ad on Indeed.com. Taylorville Care Center, caring for the community for nearly 50 years.
Your information station, WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com's Facebook or WTIM TV YouTube, brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. And People's Bank and Trust, they put people first. Well, it is the first week of January. Lots to discuss in the first week of January with University of Illinois Extension nutrition and wellness educator Lisa Peterson. Welcome back, Lisa.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I want to talk a little bit about some wellness and nutrition goals, but something that's a little bit more right in front of us, literally right in front of us. Again, maybe more figuratively speaking, but National Bean Days tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so they do it every year, and January 6th has always been known as National Bean Day, and that it's a perfect time to talk a little bit about beans and ways we can incorporate it into our diet. So beans are really part of the family of legumes, that's one word that people are like, well, what is that? And that includes lentils, peas, peanuts, soybeans, and beans. And then beans are broken down even more. But yeah, so it's a great time of year to kind of talk about getting in that extra protein and ways you can kind of sneak it into your diet.
Right. Couple facets to this. First, we don't literally have beans in front of me. That's why I kind of walk that back. Second, that's your point about the protein is where I wanted to go with that in this line of questioning. What can legumes, did I say that right?
Yep, legumes.
Legumes. What can legumes provide you nutrition wise?
Yeah, so there's a lot of research on beans, and we talk about legumes, beans, no matter what, showing that it helps reduce cholesterol, it helps with diabetes management, and one of the big reasons is because of fiber. It's a high fiber food. I think it's about a half a cup serving of cooked beans has the same amount of protein as about a 1 ounce of chicken or beef or pork. So for people who are vegetarian, that's a great option to get extra protein in without maybe some of that extra saturated fat. Beans are something that's super simple to add to your diet because you can always sneak it into a soup. You can sneak it into a wrap. People forget hummus is made of chickpeas, which is a bean. So there's different ways you can add beans to your diet, especially this time of year where it's cold and dreary and you really want that soup. And it's actually soup month too in January, but that's one way we kind of sneak it in as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what else would I not know about beans unless I researched it a little bit more?
Sure. So when we talk about beans, one of the big things when we talk about it is there's, of course, all different kind. You can buy canned or you can buy dry. And it is actually cheaper to buy dry beans. The problem is when people buy dry, they don't know what to do with it. that there's a way to cook it. You can do a quick soak or you can do a soak that takes a little bit longer. You can cook beans in a pressure cooker. The one thing I try to push people away from is with red kidney beans, you cannot put them in a slow cooker to cook them because they would release a chemical that's harmful to us. So dry kidney beans have a natural toxin in them. So we tell people to make sure you're doing like a quick soak with those and rather than putting them in a slow cooker and cooking them that way. If you have canned, that's absolutely fine. Those are already cooked. But if you're working with dry, there are certain ways to cook with it. And we have all these different ways to cook on our website, which is go.illinois.edu/eat-move-save, which has recipes for cooking with beans. It also has how to cook dry beans, which is something that's super simple to do, but you just visit our website and we'll show you the step-by-step. Yeah.
Speaking of soup and beans, do you have any soups in mind that make a great or that would be good for beans rather? I think that's the way I want to say that.
Yep. And I always go to that one that we always kind of joke about is chili because but I mean, we all know the traditional chili does not have beans in it.
Right. In a way, it's a type of soup.
Really but chili is a big one where people add a lot of beans. They'll add cannellini beans or they'll add kidney beans. I typically just add it to anything. Like I'll do a chicken noodle soup and I'll add black beans to it just to add up the protein just a little bit more. But beans are something that's super versatile. You can add any kind of beans, any kind of soup. So, but yeah, that's one of my big ones. I do a Tuscan. It has like a spinach in it and does a white bean. That's really good. But yeah, if you have questions or looking for soup recipes, call our office. I will happily send them to you, or however is the easiest way. If you want to come by the office and pick them up, I'm happy to do that as well. But yeah, I'm actually teaching a class in Jerseyville this month about pressure cooking soups. So, and we're going to be working a lot with beans in that class. So, and again, working with a soup, making your own, you're cutting that sodium significantly. So make your own, please.
Yes. Limit the amount of salt and sodium. And let's see, what other kinds of beans is there anything else that we should hit on before we move on?
Sure. So one thing is, if you are going to start increasing your amount of beans, that can cause some gastrointestinal issues, which we try to limit as much as possible. So when you are adding beans to your diet, add them slowly. So start by adding 2 to 4 tablespoons of beans per day and gradually increasing. So in other words, don't add an entire can every day, or you're going to experience some flatulence and things you really don't want to happen.
It's like the song goes, which I refuse to sing on the radio, but the song goes, beans, magical fruit, and it rhymes with root.
Yeah.
Or rhymes with root. Yeah. Anyway.
And there's a way to avoid it. And it's things like adding more water to your diet, adding things slowly, and you won't have quite as many issues.
Okay. Adding water. I didn't realize that. That's not something they include in the song.
No. And using that hot water soak method when preparing dry beans, the longer you soak them, the more you're going to reduce that gas producing compound. So by soaking beans, you'll take that away and you won't have that gastrointestinal issue as well. But rinsing canned beans also helps. That's a way, again, we talk about that when reducing sodium, but that can also help with Great Northern beans before eating to help reduce some of those issues you might have.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I think it's worth mentioning baked beans. Your thoughts?
Yep, baked beans. So when you think about baked beans, that one's the one that has a lot of added sugar. So yes, everybody loves them. And that's also a great thing to add maybe in moderation a little bit more, just because of how much brown sugar is one of the biggest ingredients. Eating those, but eating them in smaller servings. So again, reading that label, see what it's made of. I've never looked at the sodium content. I'm guessing it's probably pretty high, but check that label. And when I say high, I'm talking about if I look at that label and if they'll tell you how much the daily value of something is, it says 20%, you know it's high in something.
20% or higher is high in something.
Yep, and 5% is low. Okay. So ideally with sodium, and again in a can, they'll tell you how many servings. So you have to multiply that if you're eating the entire can. So pay close attention to that. Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's see. What other kind of... Well, I'm kind of running out of questions about beans, to be frank with you, Lisa. So is there anything else people should keep in mind?
Sure. So when we talk about adding beans, one thing is, where are you going to add it? So some things like, how do I add beans to breakfast? And one way to add it.
Apparently the English, you put it on toast, but that's another story.
That's what I was going to tell you. Rather than doing avocado toast, you do hummus toast. So kind of switching it up there. You can also add them to omelets really, really easy. So that's another suggestion. Add them to guacamole. You can always do it that way too. Salsa, there's always ways to add in beans and put that in an omelet or on top of eggs. So there's ways you can sneak beans into your breakfast without even thinking about it.
I would, you're making my brain kind of think here. And I'm thinking maybe taking those beans and throwing them in like a breakfast burrito.
Yes. Yep.
Eggs and cheese and all that stuff.
Yep. And again, canned beans, as long as the can isn't bulging, it's not leaking. If they're in a can, those are basically good safety wise forever. But quality wise, we're going to tell you about a year. And same with the dry beans, we tell you about 1 to 2 years. They're good.
WTIM's reporter Leroy Klimola spent some time in England, and apparently, and he tells the story a lot better than I do, but basically the sum of it is somebody offered him beans and toast, and he says, well, you know what? All right, that's fine. Put the beans on there. And, they're cold? And he wouldn't have it from there.
Yeah, I gotta break them down a little bit.
Gotta at least warm it up anyway.
Yes, yep. We're adding them into a dessert. That is an easy way. We talk about black bean brownies, and that's a kind of a trade into recipe with extension, because that's a good way to sub out some of the fat and add beans in there, and you have no idea there are beans in there.
I don't know. You know what? That's the thing, is even if I've had a black bean brownie, I probably wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't. And it's a lot more. It usually has more moisture in it, so it's a little bit. But yeah, it's very, very good. I do it usually when I teach the bean class and talk about it and see if anyone can identify which ones had beans and which ones didn't. And again, if you have more fiber in there, you got more protein. Yes, you'll have a little bit more added sugar, but you still got some of the good stuff in there.
Beans, they are indeed a magical fruit, and I want to be able to include more of them into 2023 and also just keep a healthy lifestyle overall. So we'll talk a little bit more about that with University of Illinois nutrition and wellness educator Lisa Peterson next, right here on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM.
The markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all trading lower at this hour. March corn down to nickel, 6.48 3/4. May corn down 5 1/4, 6.48 3/4. July corn 6.43 3/4, down 5 1/2. January beans down to dime, 14.68 1/4. March beans down 10 3/4, 14.72 3/4. May beans down 9 3/4, 14.80 1/4. March Chicago wheat down 8, 7.37 1/2. May wheat down 8 1/2, 7.45 1/4. January bean meal up 90 cents, 483.40. January bean oil 63.89, up 20, or make that 63.39, up 28 cents. Livestock market. January feeders down 85 cents, 184.37. February live cattle 157 even, down 27 cents. February lean hogs down to $1.62, 82.45. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
This is Editorial Potpourri. I'm Randall J. Miller, station president. Point number 1. Despite various legislators telling us over 5 years ago that Illinois Route 48 through Macon, Christian, and Montgomery counties was part of the state's 5-year road improvement plan to be repaved, it hasn't happened since telling us that 5 years ago. It's one of the roughest roads in the area for commuters, shoppers, and the general public to travel. Here's a public hint to our area legislators that the road sure could use getting repaved before another 5 years is up. Point number 2, we welcome our new county board chairs across our 2 clusters coverage areas, and especially the new chairs at our station's home counties of DeWitt and Christian. We hope with new leadership comes a new era of cooperation among county board members in their respective counties to discuss the issues in a respectful manner with an outcome that's positive for county residents, especially in the area of economic development. Point number 3, countless doctors and nurses we know throughout central Illinois have shared the demeanor of their patients during and since COVID has been anger, demanding, and condescending. While patients have long asked for understanding and empathy from doctors and nurses, it's time to remind those patients that healthcare is short-staffed and doing the best they can with the staff they have. One of my daughters, who has been in the nursing profession some 15 years, tells me that during and since COVID, she's been yelled at and verbally abused by patients. But so that hospitals will keep their high rating to continue receiving government payments, nursing staff are told to just take it. Some nurses have been even told they can file charges against patients that physically abuse them. Patients need an attitude adjustment and realize that a nurse isn't going to answer their call button the second they hit it because they're short-staffed. Such abuse of nurses by patients is one reason thousands of nurses are leaving the profession in the first place. So next time you're a patient in a hospital or doctor's office, remember that courtesy and understanding is a two-way street. That's our opinion. We welcome yours. Our email address is editorial@randyradio.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. University of Illinois Extension nutrition and wellness educator Lisa Peterson knows all about keeping your goals on track. And so she's going to help us dive into some of those New Year's resolutions, for whether that's eating healthier, working out, spending less time on your device, whatever that might be. Lisa's going to help you out. So we've talked a little bit about the name for this before.
Yep.
Go ahead and take it away from me.
So these are, and again, we bring them up every year because it's New Year's, is SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, relevant, and timely goals. So that's more than just saying, I'm going to eat healthier this year. It's setting something that you know you can achieve. And whether that's setting smaller goals within that bigger goal, that's something. But even starting out in January, we always think with the flip of the calendar, we have to create a new goal, which you create goals all year round. It's just that New Year that everybody wants to start. But making sure that you are very specific with your goal. So again, instead of I want to eat healthier, thinking I'm going to eat one vegetable on my plate one day a week. And again, it may sound small, but it's something you know you can do. and it's a personal goal. I tell people put it on your refrigerator, set a reminder, make sure you can see it. So that way you know if you're achieving it or not. Another thing is making sure it's measurable. So providing some kind of quantifiable indicator to determine if you met that goal. So I tell people with bananas, that's a great one to do because bananas go bad super fast. So if you say, I'm going to eat 3 fruit this week, you buy 3 bananas and you'll know you hit the goal because all 3 are gone over the course of a couple days.
That sounds like a good one for like trying to waste less food too.
Yes. Yep. That's a great thing with food waste. Yep. That's another one. Achievable. Again, be realistic. If you don't currently eat vegetables, like I said, add 1 or make a list of things you know you like. So if you're like, golly, I don't like broccoli, don't add broccoli to your list. Find those vegetables you're going to enjoy. It might be the starchier ones, and that's fine. Corn, peas, things are a little sweeter. At least it's a vegetable. You're starting somewhere. You're adding something to your diet that is going to make you feel better. So less focus necessarily on some of those numbers. So less focus on, I've got to lose 20 pounds. How do I feel? And we consider that intuitive eating. And that's something that I'm really diving into this year within my professional goals is how can I do more research on that intuitive side of it? So that health at every size and making sure that people who are talking about eating better, what are the benefits of it for them? Is it so they get to live with their family longer, so they have more energy? And that's really when we talk about exercise goals, that's why I try to get people to reframe it, not focused on, I'm going to lose all this weight. It's more, I'm going to have more energy at night. I'm not going to come home from work and just go right to the couch and fall asleep. So it's finding a way to kind of reframe those goals, saying you're going to be exercising. This is my mental health break. This is my stress reliever. So less focus on, I need to work out for 30 minutes. Maybe it's 10 minutes throughout the day. And they do find that the research says 10-minute segments are just as beneficial as 30 minutes all at once. So that's something to think about too, is how can I make a goal that I know I can do? And it's something small. You talked about screen time, something not necessarily health or nutrition related, but saying I'm going to put my phone away for 10 minutes when I eat supper or something like that. So something much smaller, much more specific. And even having a sports system, a significant other or a friend check in. So you both set a goal and you're like, did you do it today? And they're like, no. And you're like, well, I didn't. So you have that extra support in there. And that does help. They find that if you're working in groups, you're more likely to succeed with your goals.
My dog listens to the radio, so excuse me, but when I take her on the WALK every day, right, I have made a goal to leave my device at home.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep.
Right.
So you're more in tune with what your environment and walking with the dog. Yes, very beneficial. Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of an example of that. And I'm trying to do that for, well, as long as I can manage.
Yes. Yep. And again, it gives you a media break. It gives you kind of a stress relief break as well, hopefully.
Right. And that's the thing too, is reframing it into the stress relief time.
Yep. Not saying I have to go to the gym today. It's more, I get to go to the gym, or I'm going to go to the gym to help make me feel better. So finding, I know that's really hard for people to kind of break, but it is one way to kind of motivate you a little bit more to go and not focused on, I need to go run 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Have we hit all the points of the SMART goal?
Let's see. So the other one is relevant. I didn't talk too much about that, but checking in with yourself and looking at kind of that big picture. So answer those honest questions. Why is this important to you? Why am I doing this? I have kind of touched on that. Why is this a priority? Is it a priority for me? If I'm setting, I need to eat more vegetables, why is that a priority for me? Is it because somebody told me to, or because I'm really dehydrated? I need to find different ways to get more water in. So that'd be a way to do it. And that last one in SMART is timely. So indicating a target finish date. So a lot of times people set these goals and they don't have, when is this going to end? It's kind of like a diet.
Sounds like I need to find a time for when I need to end mine, and then maybe
add things to it,
or reframe it, as you were saying.
Yep. Or you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to do 10 minutes without my phone for so long. Well, then next month I'm going to go to the end of the month if I can do it, and then I will add an extra 10 minutes. So you're setting time frames with it, which will help. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's see. There was a different question that weren't SMART goals, but basically are along the lines of keeping myself active throughout the cold months.
Yep.
I don't have a gym. I said, I like to go on those WALKs with walks. Right. You're careful there. You're gonna get her excited.
Gonna be jumping around.
Right. But basically, how can I reframe it so that when it's cold outside and snowing like today, that I don't miss that daily activity?
Sure. It's finding different ways then. So it might be walking around your home somehow. It may be listening to a video for a different type of workout, doing something like that. I mean, the days you can do it, again, the weather might be a factor in there. You can always go to the schools or go to Walmart or go to some of these other places to walk. So you can always walk indoors as well. Go to a public place, of course, to do that.
Right.
But,
right. Don't. Yeah. Right. I think The disclaimer doesn't need to be said. Go somewhere you're allowed.
Yes. Yep.
Lisa,
Yeah.
anything else that you'd like to include here before we finish?
No, just make sure to focus on your health and how it's going to benefit you in the long run. And again, if you don't succeed one day, that's okay. Just next day you wake up and you do a different goal.
Nutrition and wellness educator with the University of Illinois Extension, Lisa Peterson. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. You'll find those streams online on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV.
WTIM.